Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PackHub's latest Sustainable Packaging Innovations webinar with me, Paul Jenkins. I'm founder and CEO of ThePackHub. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, quite a familiar format, welcome and introduction. I'm then going to go through 5 sustainable packaging trends, areas, refill and reuse, bio-based materials, reduction, recycling, and paperisation. All the examples are from our Innovation Plus innovation platform. And there'll be opportunities for some questions towards the end of the session. So please take the opportunity to use the Q&A box somewhere on your screen to ask any questions about any of the innovations. I will do my very best to answer them live. If I'm not able to have the information to hand, I will make sure that those answers are fed back as part of the information that's sent out tomorrow with the recording. So a little bit about the PackHub for those that are unaware. We have a number of intelligence platforms. The Innovation Zone is our original platform with over 12,000 global packaging innovations from around the world. We've increased the content to 35 new initiatives every week. So a really good way of keeping up to speed with all the latest packaging innovations globally. A couple of years ago, we launched the Patent Zone. This has over 2,000 global packaging innovations from around the world. We focus on the standout innovations. So we don't just, there's obviously every month there are hundreds of packaging patents. Some are not of that interest to us. So we focus on those ones that could create ideas, new product inspiration and idea generation. We've recently increased the number of patents that we're tracking on a weekly basis to 35. So that means that we're tracking 70 packaging initiatives every week. So over 300 a month. We've recently launched Innovation Plus, which is basically has all the innovations from the Innovation Zone, all the initiatives from the Patent Zone, plus a next generation platform that combines everything we've done in the past with AI capability. So now you can ask questions like, what recurring technical challenges are emerging in refill packaging? So rather than getting a list of refill and reuse packaging answers, you get a proper AI-inspired response. And this is not from the outside world. This is based on our innovations, our patents, and our proprietary information. So if you would like a demo of Innovation Plus, please scan there. We also do packaging training. We've got 3 courses coming up later this year on refill, PPWR, and carbon literacy. Events and webinars, we've got a brand owner retailer summit on Tuesday, the 29th of September. So very excited about that. That's at the Bike Shed in London. The PackHub is also exhibiting and very active at London Packaging Week this year. So we've got a stand at C106, which I think is next to one of the major stages, and also there's a Museum of Brands exhibit. So we're pretty much opposite them if you need to find us. Katie and I were both involved in the judging for London Packaging Week awards. Ignore the fact it says 2025 on those awards. I couldn't find the awards for 2026. They're probably still in a box. So yeah, we've been involved in that, and the awards will be announced. The winners will be announced at 12:30 on Thursday the 17th. So if you are attending London Packaging Week, make sure you come and see that. I'm also, for the first time, London Packaging Week have got a podcast section. So I will be interviewing Mark Brown, European Packaging Lead at Peter Cousins. So I'm really looking forward to having an informal chat about all things packaging with Mark, which is on the first day at 10:30. So that's one of the first sessions on the first day. Not content with that, manning a stand and everything else, I've also agreed that I would do a guided tour of 26 of the leading innovations from the suppliers. So we've got 4 sessions, 11:30 and 2 o'clock on the Wednesday, and 11 o'clock and 1 p.m. on the Thursday. So come along to stand D104, and I will do my very best to talk through the 26 standout packaging innovations from the Innovation Gallery, and we'll also be able to answer any questions. Okay, so that's enough about the PackHub. Let's look at some innovations. So what I've done this month is something slightly different. I've taken a look at a month's worth of Innovation Plus data. So what we've had, basically in the last 30 days or so, we've had 303 initiatives. That's 156 innovations and 147 patents. You can see by development stage, a lot of them are launched ready, or indeed in development. By category, so a really big range of different categories. Beverage this month has had the most innovations. Food tends to be our biggest category, but for this month, beverage is leading the way, followed by food, closely in third place, health and beauty. But you can see quite a broad range of innovations. If you take a look at the bottom, you can just see the vast range of different markets that we're tracking just in a month. So USA is the most with 91, followed by UK at 46, but we've got some, Portugal, Kenya, Denmark, Estonia, Netherlands, Slovakia, Belgium, Brazil. So a really good representation of the vast amount of packaging innovations, the best place really to track all the latest packaging innovations. And some key observations, which I'll actually, rather than go through those now, I will go through those as part of my presentation. So this slide will look familiar to you. So these are the 5 sustainable packaging trends that we've collated. So refill and reuse, and I'll go through each one of these and show 7 or 8 examples from each. Refill and reuse, bio-based materials, reduction strategies, recycling and recycled content, and paperisation. So before I go into talking about those 5, I'm going to do a quick poll, if I may. I did it last time and I quite enjoyed it. So this is the question I'm going to be asking. What is currently having the biggest influence on your sustainable packaging strategy? The answers, well, you can read, but I'll read it anyway. Regulation and legislation, cost and commercial pressures, consumer expectations, corporate sustainability targets, or packaging innovation and new technology. Sorry, that shouldn't be a comma there. It should be packaging innovation and new technology. No real surprises here, with almost 2/3 of the biggest influence being regulation and legislation, what with PPWR landing on our tables on the 12th of August and EPR and all the other things that are going on globally. That is of no surprise. So yeah, so regulation and legislation just under 60%, cost and commercial pressures 1 in 5. The next one is packaging innovation and new technology. And then consumer expectations and corporate sustainability targets are quite low down. That's quite interesting when you think about, marketing and packaging is about potentially meeting unmet consumer needs, and it's not actually a major driver for sustainable packaging strategy at this moment. Share those results with you. Okay, let's look at some innovations. So refill and reuse, in summary, refill and reuse continues to be one of the most important long-term packaging innovation areas, driven by a plethora really of drivers and challenges, reducing single-use packaging, cutting carbon impact, supporting circular economy goals, all sorts of challenges around in terms of scalability, consumer convenience, cleaning logistics, reverse supply chains, hygiene assurance, cost, and behavioral change. So this is a familiar story, but it needs to be said. So I've got some really good examples here to show you as follows. So RFID is and technology is beginning to really play an important part of the refill and reuse space. So we're seeing some good applications. So this is Vital Global, and they've expanded their reusable cup infrastructure across Oracle Park in San Francisco, replacing single-use plastic cups with poured alcoholic beverages throughout the stadium. The system follows a smaller deployment in 2025, in which nearly 200,000 drinks were served using reusable cups, achieving a reported return rate of 88%. So these return rates need to be in the high 80s, 90s, really, for this to be viable. The trial was also reported to have avoided more than 3,000 pounds or 1.3 tons of plastic waste, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 8 metric tons. I was at the cricket for the 2020 last month, and they had a reusable cup scheme. And interestingly, one of my friends tried to pick up 5 or 6 cups that he found on the floor, but the vendor was only allowing them to scan one cup for one drink repurchased. So I don't know. So basically, that deposit goes back into the profitability of the vendor, I guess. Next up is from Berlin Packaging, and they've partnered with a business called Amica, also based in the US, to introduce a refillable packaging system for shampoo and conditioner that also combines post-consumer recycled content, using Eastman's Triton plastic. So this is interesting. So what I didn't say at the beginning is we've got the 5 sustainable packaging trends, but actually in reality, that if you saw a Venn diagram, there would be many trends sort of interacting with each other. So this is obviously a reusable example, but it's using recycled content. It's sort of 2 core trend areas coming together. So I really like the design of this. I think it's got fantastic shelf standout. And I think I posted on this about 2 or 3 weeks ago on LinkedIn and mentioned how important that permanent pack needs to be. It needs to look premium. It needs to look attractive. It needs to look proud on someone's bathroom shelf. So I think this brand is doing a good job to do that. Next up, we go to France, and they've developed a business called Unuco have developed the B-Box, which is a modular transport crate designed to improve the logistics and reuse of wine and spirits bottles through a combination of design and structural optimization. The system is engineered to reduce unused space within transport packaging by using a nesting architecture that enables empty crates to fit within one another. So according to the company, this design optimizes storage and return transport by up to 50%. So you can kind of see there, I mean, this is a sort of a CAD rendering, but you can sort of see how that might work in terms of improved pallet optimization. They're saying that the design optimizes storage and return transport by up to 50%, with overall empty space savings of up to 60% during reverse logistics. Next up is QuadPack, and what we've done this month for the first time is recognised the companies that are in our top 1% of packaging innovators for this year. So we've basically done a bit of analysis, and there's 38 companies, including QuadPack here, that feature as our sort of top innovators in terms of quantity. So QuadPack are very prolific. They're based in Barcelona, Spain, and they've expanded their Arena packaging range with the Arena glass refill jar, a refill packaging solution designed for prestige skincare applications. So it's showing that that refill can be in many different packaging materials. So we're seeing lots of plastic. We're also seeing obviously glass in this instance. Kind of makes sense for the premium cosmetics industry. The outer jar contains 30% post-consumer recycled glass and features a thick base and low-profile silhouette to create a substantial fill, very important for premium products, whilst maintaining easy access to the product. Next, we travel all the way to Thailand to a company called Neo, who have introduced an automated refill machine designed to reduce the need for single-use plastic bottles across personal and household care packaging. The system combines things like body wash, liquid laundry detergent, and fabric softener dispensing with one machine, enabling consumers to reuse their own containers rather than purchasing a new primary pack each time. So Neo has installed 25 machines across Bangkok and surrounding areas and other major Thai provinces. So anyone that's traveling in the Bangkok area, please look out for those. And if you could send me a picture of it in action, I would be much appreciated. Next up, we go back to the UK, and this is Event Cup Solutions with a reusable a solution called One Smart Reusable Cup System, used at Edgbaston Stadium in Birmingham, providing a digitally managed reuse system for drinks served at the cricket ground. So I mentioned cricket earlier, and this is also RFID enabled, so quite similar to the previous US example that I showed. We now look at patents, and this is Guala Dispensing from Italy, and they've developed a disposable refill pack that allows products to be transferred into a bottle or flask in a controlled and hygienic way. So I mentioned hygiene as one of the challenges of refill and reuse. The Guala pack are tackling this challenge head on. The key feature is a sealed cartridge that connects directly to a bottle and releases its contents only when activated. The pack consists of a single chamber container that holds the product, a screw-on connector that attaches to the receiving bottle, and a sliding mechanism positioned inside the connector. My colleague Vanessa has commented on this, saying that refill systems continue to evolve, and we're seeing increased interest from brands looking to support reuse without compromising convenience. So that looks like a pretty decent solution there. The last refill and reuse example before we move into the world of bio-based materials comes from Brazil, and this is Curl Beauty, and they've expanded their packaging strategy by introducing refillable packaging across part of its cosmetics portfolio. Now, what's really interesting here is, with cosmetics, it's glass, it's premium, it's heavy. Their core product continues to be that, but they're using a pouch, something you wouldn't normally see in the cosmetics supermarket aisle. The approach aims to extend the useful life of the packaging, reducing the frequency with which the complete containers need to be manufactured and discarded. They don't talk about whether the containers in the first place, the reusable containers, could be recycled. The refill program is currently available for several products across their range. Okay, now let's look at bio-based materials. Now, what we're going to do is do another poll because I need a break from talking. So let's look at the next one, which is sustainable packaging trends. So similar to previous question, but asked in a slightly different way. So what is the most significant sustainable packaging trend in your business today? And these are the 5 that we'll be covering. So refill and reuse, bio-based materials, reduction, recycling and recycled content, and paperization. Okay, a familiar picture here. Interestingly, I'm going to let 1 or 2 more people vote. Right, let's end the poll and share. So what's interesting here is that I think on our innovation zone, about half of all the initiatives are to do with recycling and recycled content. And we have about 46% of the attendees today saying that it's the most important significant sustainable packaging trend for their business. That's quite interesting how symmetrical that is. Next up is reduction, and there's no surprise there at all because obviously there is, with PBWR and the like, reduction is very much a encouraged activity, and of course there's the added cost benefits that go with that. Paperisation, nearly 1 in 5 say it's the primary driver for their business, and then refill and reuse and bio-based materials very much taking up the rear. Okay, next we have, as I said, bio-based materials. So we've been tracking bio-based materials for many years, and to some extent, things haven't really changed. There's always been development in a number of different materials, such as algae, fungi, various starches, cellulose, with lots of different, tomato waste. We've tracked loads of different materials over the years, and they've always tended to be quite niche. I guess the main change we've seen is the use of barriers, so alternatives to plastic barriers. So, as I mentioned before, the likes of Nopla and Kelpie and Zampler are doing some really great work with sort of proteins and seaweed-based barrier opportunities. So really, that's where I see bio-based materials being most having the biggest opportunity potentially to improve recycling and to reduce, to take more plastic out of the supply chain. So first up is a company called Woven Bio. They've been very active on LinkedIn in recent times, and they've got a solution called Pinapax, which is a moldable natural fiber composite packaging material made from waste pineapple leaves combined with a biodegradable resin. Woven Bio combines the fibers with a resin to create a lightweight, compostable. Sorry, I've got a spam call. Get rid of that. Woven Bio combines the fibers with a biodegradable resin to create a lightweight composite that could be precision molded, as you can see here, around individual products. So one of the major benefits of this, just looks from a consumer's sort of basic point of view, very sustainable. It's sort of rough. There's a slight sort of I hate using the words eco-friendly, but there's a sort of eco-friendly look to these kind of packs. Next, we move to a patent, so from Nestle, and there's been an awful lot of work in terms of beverage pods, reducing the amount of materials, making them more recyclable, but also looking to make the products home compostable. If the coffee inside can be composted, then surely there's opportunities potentially to make the packaging compostable as well. So this pod features a body constructed from two connected shell halves that form an internal chamber for holding beverage substances such as coffee and tea. The structure includes an injection wall through which fluid enters the chamber. And Vanessa's mentioned in our patent zone, home compostability is a particularly interesting development for coffee pods for obvious reasons, where the pack is typically contaminated with the product after use. The clever part here is achieving the oxygen barrier needed to protect the coffee whilst using cellulose-based and compostable materials. Although, as always, any home compostable claim would need to be supported by the appropriate testing and certification. And of course, a business like Nestle would absolutely ensure that is the case. Next, we move to China, and this is a business called InnoBio Corporation. They've developed a biodegradable active packaging film using compounds recovered from rapeseed processing residues. The plant extracts were also used to produce silver nanoparticles of approximately 60 nanometers under mild processing conditions. The packaging trials with fresh produce also indicated potential preservation functionality, with cherry tomatoes retaining more weight, ascorbic acid, and acidity than untreated samples. So we've seen that quite a lot of times, that biomaterials can often have a very important additional attribute, which is extension of shelf life. I mentioned Nopla earlier, and I'm going to mention it again. So this is Nopla, who are doing some fantastic work with their sort of seaweed-coated solutions. And here is the rollout of seaweed-coated paperboard pots with seaweed-based spoons. Called the Perfect Pair, the packaging range is intended to improve ice cream operators. To provide ice cream operators with cups and cutlery based on related natural mineral technologies rather than sourcing from two components separately. So very much a seaweed-based solution here. The coating replaces conventional plastic lining, commonly used to provide paper food packaging, which does have resistance to moisture and grease. Back to the patents. So this is KVI, and they developed a biodegradable plastic tag designed for product labeling and identification purposes. The tag is constructed from biodegradable plastic materials, quite vague there, that are engineered to break down naturally in the environment after disposal. Now, the big red flag here is consumer communication and the potential encouragement of what happens, not putting these tags in the waste stream, and ultimately reuse is the first, with one of the first sort of challenges or opportunities. Then recycling, certainly not encouraging. Chuck it in a bush and it'll be gone in 6 months. That's not the right messaging at all. So all sorts of challenges with sort of even the word biodegradable. A lot of people don't like the use of that. But I think it's interesting to show these developments in situ. We're now going to go to Spain with B0 Materials, and they've developed a bio-based composite material designed for e-commerce mailers as an alternative to fossil-based LDPE. For e-commerce packaging, this is relevant because mailers need sufficient tensile strength, flexibility, and resistance to tearing and puncturing to protect goods throughout fulfillment, transport, and that important final mile delivery. The material is bio-based and designed to reduce reliance on fossil-derived plastics. Now we go over to Jakarta, to Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency called BRIN, and they've been investigating the incorporation of waste coffee grounds and zinc oxide nanoparticles into ketone-based composite films for potential sustainable food packaging applications. So similar to the one I mentioned 2 or 3 innovations ago, the combination they're promising of mechanical, moisture barrier, UV blocking, and antimicrobial, there it is again, functions could make the material relevant to active food packaging. The big challenge here is one of cost and scalability. How on earth do you compete with plastic, which is high volume, well established? That's one of the biggest challenges with a solution like this. The last bio-based solution here is again from Indonesia, and this is a PLA and microcrystalline cellulose and MCC product produced from fermented coconut water of all products. So I don't think we've had coconut water as a solution before, a part of a solution. It has an oxygen scavenging compound functionality, and is a biodegradable polymer structure with active oxygen management. Microscopic analysis indicated that the coconut water-derived cellulose produced a more uniform film structure with fewer defects than commercial cellulose material evaluated by researchers. Okay, now on to reduction strategies. So this was the second most common strategic sustainable priority when I did the poll. This is lightweighting, it's monomaterials, it's taking packaging out or reducing packaging from the supply chain. So and this is really one of those trends which is across absolutely every packaging format, shape, size, category around the world. So first up is a company called Genexis, and they're a telecommunications equipment provider based in the Netherlands, and they've adapted in line with PPWR a focus on reducing packaging volume, increasing recycled material use, and limiting single-use plastics, and expanding reuse. So they're almost ticking every sustainable packaging box here. A key element is, as you can see in the picture, packaging size optimization, where the company designing the packs to reduce empty space and improve pallet utilization. So using less materials and they're getting more packs on a pallet, basically. So they're saying that the packaging configuration can increase the number of products transported per pallet by up to 78%, which is really, really significant. The company is also focusing on fiber-based packaging, using carton made from 100% recycled content. So this business has really put a lot of effort into improving their sustainability credentials. I'm not quite sure they need to put old packaging and redesigned packaging on there. I think we could probably work that one out. Right, next we go to Niagara Bottling, a US-based water company, and they've filed a patent for a plastic bottle design featuring a distinctive scalloped bell section between the shoulder and finish of the container. The bottle incorporates multiple scalloped portions that extend radially around the bell area, with edges positioned between adjacent scallops. What does that mean? The design targets large format bottles with an internal volume. The structural configuration enables the bottle to withstand top load forces of at least 400 newtons. And Vanessa mentions that achieving the required strength in a large bottle whilst using less plastic is a great example of clever structural design. Now, we've been featuring pizza packaging on our platforms since we started, really, mostly around the carton, the fiber-based box, but we've seen some refill solutions. But this one here is just small steps that can make a difference. So this is EcoCurve, and they're developed in the UK and manufactured under license by Turkish corrugated packaging producer Ankutsun Packaging. Is a patented redesign of the conventional corrugated pizza box that uses approximately 10% less board whilst maintaining the strength and functionality required for food service applications. Rather than introducing a new packaging material, the development uses structural engineering to reduce the amount of corrugated board needed to manufacture each box. And I would also say that it creates a little bit of a standout. I mean, I'm not sure how bothered consumers will be to have a slightly curved pizza box. They probably won't even notice. But 10%, that's 1 in 10 boxes gone. So I think that's a nice change, and it just shows you how important structural packaging design is to the reduction strategy. Next, we have Choose Planet A. I think they're coming to our brand owner retailer summit and part of our panel discussion, and they continue to do some great work with their coffee cup lid solutions. So this cup consists of a base wall and 2 closure flaps attached to the upper edge of the container. The first closure cap incorporates a pair of opposing side flaps and an intermediate flap, which fold twice. The second closure flap folds over the first. The cup measures approximately 15 centimeters tall. Vanessa mentions she really likes the idea of turning the cup itself into the lid, removing a separate component and potentially reducing plastic and litter. They do have a solution on the market at the moment. This is a patent to reinforce a specific change, which I don't have noted here, unfortunately. Now, we couldn't talk about reduction without mentioning sort of wine bottles and glass and the ongoing move to take bottle weight out of the supply chain. So here we go to Spain with the Zamora company, reducing the individual bottle weight from 450 grams to 420 grams. So that's about a 7 or 8% change. So a bit like the pizza box. It's the headline doesn't sound much, but across a 6 lorry loads worth or truckloads worth of product, it can make a big difference. So the change removes 30 grams of glass from each bottle. I said 7 or 8, it's actually 6.7%. Here we move to France. I really like the design of these sort of the flat bottles that caught my eye here. This is Pinard Beauty Pack, and they've developed the Pin Pack, a lightweight, rigid bottle designed as an alternative to flexible refill pouches. So the packaging uses an ultra-thin wall construction. They use rPET as well. But I guess obviously they're using a heavier material, but you, again, with this flat construction, potentially get more packs on a pallet, as we've previously seen in some of the other solutions. Now, you just need to walk down any supermarket aisle to the beverage section and the multi-packs, and that has been transformed over the last 5 years. In most markets, plastic shrink film has largely been got rid of, and it's been replaced by a number of paper-based solutions from the likes of Smurfit Westrock and GPI and graphic packaging and the like. So this is an interesting solution. We've seen glue spots in beer products. It kind of defies science. You look at that and you think there's just not enough thing going on there for that pack to stay in one place. But it does, it works. So Coca-Cola basically doing a limited retail trial in Germany and France to test how these strategically positioned adhesive dots with a rigid cardboard carrying handle will work. The bottles can subsequently be separated from the pack, obviously, by gently twisting or carefully pulling them apart. The challenge here is to get them home and in one collation, and then make sure they're easily separable. So that it looks great on shelf. The primary packaging does the branding, and obviously reduces a lot of packaging there. Last up in the reduction section is from Germany. Handel Meyer is from Austria, actually, and they've optimized their packaging for their 225ml mustard bottle alongside Griner packaging. Again, Griner are one of the top 1% packaging innovators on the platform. Griner packaging redesigned the smaller bottle rather than simply transferring production. The revised design achieves a 13% reduction in bottle weight, resulting in material savings of approximately 7.5 or 6.8 metric tons annually. And obviously, there's a reduction associated to CO2 emissions. Right, next up to recycling recycled content. Remember from the poll, half of you said this was your #1 priority. So not unsurprisingly, there are lots of examples here. This is from caps and closures, and I think this is our first example from Australia. And they've developed a recyclable inverted squeeze pack that combines a recycled PET bottle, recycled PP closure, and recyclable PE dispensing valve. Now, the challenge there is taking those components apart and making sure that they get recycled separately. A key element of the design is the replacement of the silicone valve commonly found in inverted squeeze packaging with an RPE valve, addressing a component that can complicate the recyclability of multi-material dispensing packs like this. Now, we've mentioned or featured Polytag a few times in recent webinars, and they continue to develop their UV tagging wraparound labels, in this case working with Aldi and Arla Foods to label milk bottles to track individual packs as they move through the recycling system. The labels are printed by Sakaflex using food-safe fluorescent ink supplied by Sun Chemical and applied to the bottles at Arla's Oakthorpe Dairy in London. Polytag's detection equipment is installed at participating materials recovery facilities, MRFs, where scanners identify the invisible UV inks as packaging passes through the recycling infrastructure. So expect to see much more activity and testing in this area. Having not been to Australia for a while, we're here again, and this is Nestle Oceania, and they've produced a limited run of Kit Kat 4-finger wrappers using PP attributed to recycled soft plastic feedstock through a mass balance system. What they don't say is if the recycled soft plastic is from the Australian market. I would hope it would be. The packaging development demonstrates a route converting difficult to recycle flexible plastic waste into feedstock suitable for new home-grade flexible packaging. This is, this is chemical recycling in action by Viva Energy in Victoria, and used feedstock for PP production. More than 9.5 tons of oil was processed during the proof of concept, after which 5 tons of recycled PP were supplied into downstream packaging production process. So the numbers are quite small. The question here is, can this be scaled to make it much more significant? Now we go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and a business called Paperisation, and they've introduced a seal to provide consumers and brands with clearer information about the material composition and recyclability of packaging made from VitaCycle paperboard. So I picked this one of the many we've got because this is an attempt to create a badge, an icon, a seal that talks about recyclability. So it says 40% recycled content, 100% recyclable. Is that the future? Should packs have these kind of marks to help consumers make more informed choices about the packaging they're buying? That's a rhetorical question, but something I guess that we can all reflect on. This is a patent from Germany, Braun Milsungen, and they filed a patent for a recyclable plastic container incorporating a label designed to maintain the recyclability of the overall packaging. The invention addresses the common challenge in packaging recycling where labels, adhesives, or label materials contaminate plastic waste streams and reduce the quality of recycled material. By engineering the label to be compatible with the container's recycling process, the system aims to eliminate the need for label removal prior to recycling. Next, we've got a P&G brand, Head & Shoulders, and they have created some HDPE shampoo bottles incorporating recycled ocean-bound plastic. And the company is introducing packaging containing up to 25% post-consumer recycled plastic, including the reliance on virgin resin, obviously for the other 75%, whilst maintaining the performance characteristics required for shampoo packaging. So one of the most notable developments within the program is the introduction using the 25% recycled beach plastic. Obviously, there's a lot of beach plastic out there. This just scratches the surface in terms of taking that plastic off beaches and back into packaging. Volunteers and organisations collected discarded plastic from more than 200 beaches across Europe. Obviously, there's hundreds of thousands of beaches around the world. So this is very, very small scale. Again, is this something that is viable, or is it posturing? Is it just, creating a marketing position by claiming that it's recovered beach plastic? Is it moving the dial? I'll let you think about that one and answer yourself. Avery Dennison have had approval for Recyclast technology approval in Europe for their AD Clean Flake RFID tags. So these tags are designed for PT recycling compatibility. This is a real breakthrough. RFID tags have always had a challenge around their end of life, and here they're compatible with established mechanical recycling processes for rigid PET. The packaging innovation combines the company's proprietary Clean Flake adhesive technology with a patent-pending RFID inlay and label construction to address challenges associated with RFID labeled packaging entering recycling streams. So a really positive solution there. Last one before we move into paperisation, nearly done, so 7 or 8 innovations to go. Now, I've mentioned PureCycle Technologies before. They've partnered with RM Torcello, based in Tokyo, and Mitsui & Co., also based in Tokyo, to develop a BOPP film incorporating recycled polypropylene content for the Japanese packaging market. This purified recycled resin is intended for use in BOPP film and PP sealant film applications commonly used in food packaging, labels, and consumer goods packaging. Right, last but not least is paperisation. Continues to be a big driver of change. I think it's receded a little bit. There was a sort of a bit of a gold rush 3 or 4 years ago where lots of businesses were taking out the obvious replacement opportunities, mainly to get rid of plastic, not always plastic, glass or aluminium and other materials into paper. So we've got some examples here to show you. So we look here at Smurfit Westrock, so again, one of our top 100% packaging innovators for 2026. And they developed a fully paper-based protected packaging system for a business called Anderson's A3 and A4 home EV chargers, replacing the need for plastic or foam components within the transit pack. The outer B-flute construction was selected for its combination of folding performance, rigidity, and smooth printable surface. The top fitting protects the upper, front, and rear sections while simultaneously providing a void fill. Now, we can't really mention paperisation without discussing sort of paper bottles, and this is a patent from an individual patent, so not from a major corporation, but from a couple of individuals from the United States, or 3 individuals from the United States, who describe a multi-component pulp-based container featuring a dual-base construction. The container comprises 1 or more molded body sections with an integrated primary base onto which a separate secondary base is attached. Vanessa Newcomb, a patent expert at ThePackHub, talks about this being a clever fibre-based concept designed to protect products such as beverages. The shock-absorbing base could help reduce damage during transport and handling. It's great to see moulded fibre being developed for more demanding packaging applications. Here we've got Atlantic Packaging, and they've developed Paperform, a paperboard-based alternative to conventional single-use thermoformed plastic blister packaging. Now, we've seen a lot of change from plastic blister packaging into paper-based or paperboard-based alternatives. The format is designed to replace foamed plastic components with renewable paperboard whilst retaining the 3-dimensional shapes commonly required for retail blister and thermoformed packs. Here we have Fibre, based from Finland, and they've collaborated with Keifel, headquartered in Germany, to validate the industrial scale production of three-dimensional molded fibre packaging using their Duranova solution. This type of insert is produced in a very large quantities and requires consistent dimensional accuracy, low material consumption, competitive production costs, and rapid manufacturing speeds. The inserts have traditionally been manufactured from thin plastic due to the performance and throughput requirements involved. The trials address previous limitations associated with dry forming, real fed dry forming, and looks like they've met most of those challenges head on. Now we've got a solution for Monday, another one of our 1% packaging innovators from the PackHub, and they've been working with a company called Returnable, an office furniture manufacturer based in Istanbul in Turkey, to develop a bespoke corrugated packaging solution for transporting acoustic office cabins across Europe and other international markets. Mondi reports that the transition has reduced packaging costs by approximately 20%, primarily through lower material consumption and improved operational efficiency compared to the previous wood-based system. So paperisation isn't always about replacing plastic. Here it's about replacing wood. Here we have Orm Premium out of India, and they've announced plans to introduce a paper-based bottle for its Himalayan spring water by the end of this year. Although the company describes the packaging as a step towards 100% plastic-free bottle, the current concept incorporates a barrier component intended to maintain product integrity and meet the functional requirements associated with the bottled water. There's no information about the recyclability of that bottle. I think the biggest challenge is potentially shipping water from the Himalayas to other markets. That probably has a bigger environmental impact than the packaging, although I can't support that with any scientific background. Okay, so we're nearly towards the end of this webinar, tour de force of all things packaging innovation. So here we have Nipro, a US-based company, and they filed a patent for recyclable fiber-based closures that combine structural and functional elements through a hybrid material approach. The overmolds are made from polymers, biopolymers, or biodegradable biopolymers, and provide essential functional features, including threads for secure attachment, tamper-evident indicators, locking mechanisms, etc. What they don't talk about is the end-of-life scenario for these caps and how recyclable they are. But Vanessa comments that we're seeing more fiber-based closure innovations coming from the North American market as brands look to reduce plastic use. She likes how this concept uses fiber for the main structure whilst retaining the polymer only where it is needed for threads. However, the combination of materials will need to be easy to separate or proven recyclable within existing waste streams. Well said, Vanessa. Okay, the last innovation today. This is another paper cup solution from Sophie Paper Products, and they've developed a spill-resistant cup featuring integrated folding lids. So two folding lids examples today. So it's like a single packaging item solution. A single body of material. The design comprises of three main sections. What Vanessa talks about is she's worked on food-to-go porridge packaging in the past, and although this concept has been designed for drinks, she would love to see whether it could also work for foods such as porridge, soup, or snacks. And that's the great thing about patents, is imagining the art of the possible. Where else could it be implemented? Okay, let's see if we've got any questions. Can I please put the London Packaging Week schedule with locations in the Q&A? I will do that I can't type and talk at the same time, but I will put the schedule in the outputs, which you will receive tomorrow morning. Again, sort of a plug for Innovation Plus. We're tracking 300 innovations every month. So if you'd like sort of an online demo, or come to see us at London Packaging Week and we can show you it live. So scan there for more information. And yeah, so hopefully see many of you at London Packaging Week on 16th and 17th of September. I'm also presenting at many other events in the coming months, including Sustainable Packaging Summit, Sustainability in Packaging Europe, amongst others. So hopefully see you there as well. If you scan that QR code, that will take you to the booking page for our next webinar, which is on Thursday, the 24th of September at 3 p.m. UK. And again, we'll have a link and the ability to book on that webinar when we send out the recording of this webinar tomorrow. So I would like to thank you for your attendance and attention, listening to me for best part of 55 minutes is a great challenge for you. So thank you very much for everybody, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the day, and see you all again soon.